I was looking at what to do my next video on, and saw that the Anita Sarkeesian video I did about a month ago got some good feedback. So here's some more, you lucky ducks.
id Software's 2004 game Doom 3 took the basic concept of their earlier Doom titles, a space marine single-handedly fighting his way through hordes of demonic abominations, but it used the vastly improved computer graphics of its time to create a moodier, scarier tone. Along with the reimagined environments, sharper textures, and more atmospheric lighting effects, the creative team also designed some unsettling new monsters for this latest confrontation with the forces of hell. One of those new monsters was the Vagary, a monstrosity with the upper half of a naked woman and the lower half of a giant spider, who also happens to be pregnant with a demon fetus in her abdomen.
And?
It's no mistake that the Vagary blends female sexuality and fertility with elements designed to be unsettling or horrifying.
Whoa. Hang on. You're right about the unsettling and horrifying part, but they're demons. They should be unsettling and horrifying, shouldn't they? And if you want to have a demon spawn offspring and attack the player in the game, then it makes sense to have that creature be female, doesn't it? Especially when you're referring to spiders, because it is the females that produce offspring in arachnids. But as for the sexuality part, that's all in your insecure little head. What, just because a pair of tits is on the screen it has to be sexual? You yourself referred to the fertility of this creature, so couldn't it just be another part of that? I fucking guarantee you that no one looks at this thing and thinks, oh, that is so hot, I'm gonna fap to this shit all night long. Just remember these simple rules, Anita. Breasts don't automatically equal sex. If they do, then breastfeeding is really fucked up.
The book The Making of Doom 3 reveals that the game's creative team summed up the driving concept for the Vagary with the equation sexy plus gross equals creepy. What the makers of Doom 3 may not have realized is that this equation was in no way new, original, or innovative.
Did they even say it was new, original, or innovative? And I think you're taking them literally when they say sexy. What I assume it meant when they wrote that equation was that the characteristics that are deemed attractive to people, along with making the character all fat and hairy, or bloody, or with limbs hanging off the bone, equals creepy. And it does. Again, no one looks at the Vagary and thinks, that's sexy. Not to mention the fact that the male demons in this game are topless too, as well as being muscle-bound, meathead-looking fuckers. So it's not like it's just the females that are sexualised, even if you do in fact believe that they are even sexualised at all.
By singling out the Vagary, the only female enemy in the game, for her gender and using this to make her uniquely repulsive, the designers were participating in a very long tradition of creating female creatures who function to demonize femaleness itself.
If I'm making a game of this ilk, I want every enemy in the game to be uniquely repulsive. That has nothing to do with the fact that this thing is female, and everything to do with the fact that if all the enemies in the game were the same, then it would get very old, very quickly. And how on God's green earth do these female creatures function to demonise femalehood itself? The developers at id aren't all sat round a table, coming up with clever ways to show their hatred towards women, and you're the first person clever enough to come along and remove the guise that we've all been too blind to see through before now. The creatures, both male and female, function to be cool as shit enemies for the player to shoot at. That's literally it. You're reading way too much into this. And did you just assume the Vagary's gender? I hear that's offensive now.
The equation sexy plus gross equals creepy pertains not just to the Vagary, but to a whole category of characters I refer to as grotesquely female. These are characters who incorporate highly gendered or sexualized elements in ways that are specifically intended to be creepy or disgusting.
So your phrase, grotesquely female, refers to a character that is given highly gendered, sexualized elements in ways that are specifically intended to be creepy or disgusting. So why can't a male be given highly gendered, sexualized elements in ways specifically intended to be creepy or disgusting? Would it matter if you thought they did? Or have you just got your blinkers on, and your focus on gender equality is only of importance when it's referring to how downtrodden women are?
Other examples of the grotesquely female include Diablo 3 Sedea, the Maiden of Lust who spouts dialogue in a sensual, seductive tone while also taking the form of a giant spider woman.
I will take great pleasure in your suffering.
Yeah, she's also saying she wants to make you suffer and show you pain. Unless you're into bondage, most wouldn't say that's particularly sexy. And the way you're talking, you'd think there was no examples of grotesque males, to coin your phrase.
Clotho, the third sister of Fate in God of War 2, has naked breasts all over her body in a way that's clearly meant to be repulsive.
I wouldn't say it's the breasts that make her repulsive. I'd say it's the obese, warty, grey, demon-looking monstrosity that she is that makes her look repulsive.
While in Dante's Inferno, Cleopatra's nipples release demon babies who attack the player.
So? You do realise these games aren't mandatory, don't you? Are you being forced to play them against your will? Because you are allowed to turn the console off. You do know that, don't you? Oh, who am I kidding? You've never played a video game in your whole damn life.
And, well, I don't think the footage of the boss Kaylee from Bloodforge needs any explanation.
Well, it does. Because you never told us what your fucking problem is with that one.
Now, of course, there's no shortage of male characters in games who are meant to elicit disgust.
Oh, fuck me, well done!
But the unsettling nature of those characters is not tied explicitly to their gender. They don't function to suggest that maleness itself is inherently disgusting or dangerous. With these female characters, on the other hand, their grotesque nature is inextricably tied to their gender.
How? Because tits are on display? I truly believe that's your real gripe with this. I said it in the last video. I think you're an insecure woman who doesn't appreciate naked women being shown on a TV screen. And that's all well and good, but the fact that you're offended by it doesn't make it sexist. What it does mean is that you don't like looking at naked females in products that are designed for males to consume. But that's your problem, not fucking mine.
In the 2010 game Mass Effect 2, players can agree to help the Asari Justicar Samara capture her daughter Morinth, a fugitive who suffers from a genetic disorder that makes mating with her deadly. When Samara confronts Morinth, players have two options: to keep their word and help Samara, or to betray and kill Samara and add Morinth to their team in her place. If players side with Morinth, she later tries to seduce Shepard with talk of the incredible ecstasy they might experience with her.
You and I can share something so intense, so deep, it will change your life.
But if players are swayed by Morinth's promises and choose to be with her, Shepard dies, just like all of Morinth's other lovers. While grotesquely female characters are designed to make femaleness repugnant by blending sexuality and repulsiveness, Temptresses like Morinth make femaleness threatening because of their sexuality and attractiveness.
There really is no pleasing these people. This is basic, everyday shit. Women, on the whole, can manipulate men by exploiting the man's desire to want sex from them. Everyone knows that. Whether a woman does it or not is up to her as an individual. But to completely deny that this actually happens in real life and is then translated into a game just shows how deluded you really are. Why can't a female be a manipulative bitch in a video game, or any medium? Do they have to be perfect, happy, chirpy little lambs in every depiction? Because I'm pretty sure that if they were, you'd have a problem with said mediums not exploring the fact that women can express the same emotions and tactics that men can. You can't have both. Women can be painted in a bad light if the character is a cunt. Just the same as men. The gender is irrelevant here.
This tradition of sexualized evil women in the Temptress mold include characters ranging from the Dark Queen of the Battletoads games to Elizabeth from Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2. In Hitman Absolution, if players track the target Layla to a secret room in the penthouse, she strips for Agent 47 in an attempt to distract him before drawing a gun and trying to kill him.
Right. So a woman can't use sex to manipulate people in video games. Got it.
The problem with these representations is not that they depict female characters who are sexual, it's the way that sexuality is presented, as a threat or a weapon rather than as something to be enjoyed by these women and those they choose to consensually share it with. It's a false notion of female sexuality rooted in ancient misogynistic ideas about women as deceptive and evil.
Yeah, and it's okay to depict that, because it's not like that's all that games do. There's plenty more examples of scenes where the women are enjoying and consenting to sex. A quick Google search found me this scene from Mass Effect 2 with Shepard and Miranda.
Games sometimes blend the two extremes of the temptress and the grotesquely female, presenting us with female characters who initially appear attractive and alluring, only to have their true form revealed as monstrous and threatening.
And what's wrong with that? If all games suggested this, and you never saw a woman in a video game without it being about something tempting or an alluring interaction that ends horribly for the player, then I'd get your point. But that's not the case. Your complaints are so narrow and specific that it's not applicable in any other context.
In Missplosion Man, the final boss initially appears to be a cartoonishly sexy woman in a wedding dress. However, when she's defeated for the first time, she reveals her true form, a gigantic, grotesque female creature. While this is played for laughs, the core idea that female sexuality is inherently deceptive or threatening remains the same.
I'm not even commenting on that. If you can't find humour in this scene, then there's no hope for you.
With all of these character types, their femaleness or sexuality is an intrinsic part of what is intended to make them dangerous or repulsive. As a result, when male heroes defeat them, their victory is often explicitly gendered, emphasizing that the male protagonist has overcome the female threat and reinserted his dominance and control.
Well, how about I turn into a giant blood-sucking spider, come round to your house, and see whether or not you'd like to regain control? The protagonist regains control, male or female. No one wants to be a loser with no control in a video game. That shit's for real life.
This can be as simple as the use of gendered slurs, as in Gears of War 3 when Marcus Phoenix stabs and kills the Locust Queen.
And everyone else you killed, you bitch.
Right. But referring to a male as a bastard or a cocksucker is A-OK.
Of course, it's entirely possible to have female villains who don't reinforce the idea that female sexuality or femaleness itself is threatening or repulsive. In Knights of the Old Republic 2, Kreia is a richly developed and complex villain whose evil is not tied to her gender.
And she doesn't have her tits on show, which is the real key factor here.
In the Portal games, the malicious AI GLaDOS' obsession with taunting and killing the protagonist is presented in a smart, engaging way that doesn't reinforce misogynistic ideas about women as a whole.
And she's a robot with no tits, don't forget that.
And no list of cool female villains from games is complete without the dashing criminal mastermind Carmen Sandiego.
Who doesn't have her tits on show? I think we all understand what your main gripe with women in video games is, even if you won't just openly admit it.
They aren't tapping into some intrinsic truth of human existence. They're doing what stories involving such characters have always done, perpetuating false notions that women are inherently misleading and manipulative.
You know, that's a brave sentence for you to say. Because you're a woman who's misleading and manipulative. You don't play video games, but here you are criticising shit that you know absolutely fuck all about, making out like you're educated on the subject. Anyone who doesn't know anything about games will believe everything that you're telling them, even though it's a crock of shit. You're a misleading, manipulative cunt, Sarkeesian. So it turns out that you're exactly what you claim to hate women being depicted as in video games. I've seen all I need to see from this dick for about another month now. There's only so much bullshit I can swallow. On an unrelated note, I never thought I'd have to do this, because I hate it when other channels do it. But I'd like to ask you to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. I've been getting some dislikes recently, and it means that the upvotes and the downvotes are tied 50-50 on some videos, which means they're unlikely to be discovered by like-minded people such as ourselves. I think it's SJWs voting down the videos, but it might just be people who genuinely hated the video, and that's fine. But if you want to leave a dislike, I just ask that you leave me some feedback in the comments so I can improve and better cater towards my viewers. There's no point in me putting out content if people aren't enjoying it after all. Okay, so now I'm going to go outside and hose myself down because I just asked for a like on YouTube. Thank you all very much for watching. Bye.